memories were wiped out, and all they were left with was a sense of environmentalism, and they were creating mass environmentalists.
All right, got that up.
Well, I think that had a lot to do with it. Now that the abduction phenomena that's been going on now for over 20 years or more, 30 years.
What's up, guys?
Maybe even longer than that.
Listen to a little paranormal radio with Art Bell. Dark Matters when he moved to XM.
People have partial memories, a little better than partial memories. Hypnotic regression.
Jim Sparks is the guest. I'm not a huge Jim Sparks fan, though.
Don't look at the messenger, just listen to the message. And I think that's basically what that's saying.
All right, hold on, Jim. Hold on. We're going to do this break. It's very difficult doing this with such a great delay between here and Australia. And yes, thanks for the suggestion. We already talked about Skype. His internet is not so good, so we decided not to try it. But keep trying with Jim. We will. Anybody out there remember any of this? Any of you? I bet there are some.
Jim Sparks claimed that he was the point of contact for 1,000 people that had a shared
we're going
experience.
back to Jim Sparks, and you know what? It kind of makes sense to me. In other words, as these folks were subjected to...
Anytime you see the mic here, I'm probably live, actually.
And then what we are turning it into...
Jeremy?
It would turn anybody into...
Yes, and then anytime you see the mic here, I'm probably
if you erase
live.
the memories of the abduction...
No, I was just telling you.
What they would be left with would be... good for the planet, right? And if we really are headed on that kind of a course... And we are destroying our planet. I'm not immune to that concept. We may well be destroying our planet. Then doing what they're doing would make sense, and they wouldn't remember. Okay, Jim, you're back on the air again.
Yep. So, I mean, with that being said, I come to believe that there are many, many, many mass abductions, and it could be considered maybe tens of thousands. Some people estimate millions, some people estimate more. And
so we're gonna have to kill these vultures.
Right after that happened,
thrilled with that, but
kind of funny.
They're the only two things spawn here: vultures or hyenas, and we need hyenas.
We black out. And when I came to in a room that was reminded me of a locker room of sorts. Because it was just my group of people.
What's up, Finn Lightning? How you doing, bud?
Through the corridor for this message,
nice,
and they were again they could move around, but they were traumatized.
We're listening to Jim Sparks on the Art Bell Dark Matters podcast. Or broadcast, not podcast. Sorry.
But they were still they were disoriented. They didn't know where they were. And again, I was asked, to calm a few of them, and which I did. But the antidote is there was a telepathic sort of a PA message that everybody got at the same time, which was.
This is my problem with Jim Sparks, and I, much like the poster on the wall of Fox Mulder's office, I want to believe.
Folded nice and neat for him, and then I found myself back home.
1,000 people
so there were a lot of things
told this story dozens, hundreds of times, maybe.
To now that led
no one's ever come
to
forward.
Feel better about what they are and what they do, even though they're strange. They're just strange to us, and so there was a few more events that they opened up to me that just made
you doing
me
the thing? You playing the classic?
I realized that I'm one of the few
people. Are you here for the Art Bell?
Keep the memory, and I'm finding out they're not, doing horrible things. They're teaching us something. I'm not sure what the alphabet thing was, but it was pretty cool to, get 2 hours worth or an hour's worth or a half hour's worth of information in less than a second and know the whole thing.
Yes.
So maybe that's something for us to look forward to. And,
you can hear it. He's because he asked a question earlier.
How come you people just can't? And there was a sequence of events that were pretty neat to bring me where I am today and feel better about it and talk about it.
1,000 people.
I used to
no one's
complain,
like, yeah, that happened to me too. Totally know that guy.
Just be normal. Why can't you just land somewhere and say hi, you know, have a little social, you know, they had no social, you know, be a little social with it. And so there's, you know, a couple of things that took place that, you know, were granted to me, and one of which was
Finn Lightning.
which led up to it. Well, anyway, it's going to lead up to some other stuff.
All right, if you're looking to have a private conversation, Mr. Finn Lightning,
my folks at the time lived in Miami.
Stream is not for that.
I was staying over in the west coast of Florida, Fort Myers Beach to be exact at that time. And I had went over to visit my parents, and I went into my.
Can you hear the radio over me?
Boy, you know, before I left home.
Good thing you're here, so I can ask questions.
And you know, I went into the bedroom, and as soon as I laid my head on the bed, I was actually I was on my side, sort of almost on my belly, kind of thing, you know, to take a nap. As soon as I hit the bed, it was this super loud sound, like a lightning strike.
It's like a 40-second delay.
Loud in my head, it was just ear splitting.
Whatever.
And then I found myself elevated above my bed, and I was maybe 3-4 feet in the air, and my arms were waving, didn't know what was going on, and I turned and I looked at the doorway, and 3 of them were standing at the doorway.
Why wouldn't you make your name, like for real, why wouldn't you make your name like Jobus?
And blam, they dropped me back onto the bed and disappeared. They didn't even abduct me, all right? So there's a cynical sense of humor starting to develop. We're here.
Cynical? My God. Somebody did that to me while I was in bed asleep, and I woke up flailing in the air. I'd get somebody, I guarantee you. I'd get them.
Yeah, they didn't even let me go to sleep. I mean, that was the thing. You know how you're ready to just lay down. I mean, I was still awake, and that was it, you know. So they let me see the whole thing and completely conscious of all its glory. And so I learned over the years that they come in sequences. It's like cruises, and they come to do things. They're definitely concerned about the environment. There's no doubt about it. They're actually collecting seeds of every form that you can fathom, life forms in its seed shape, in a sense, in every form that you can fathom. And this is what they're doing on a regular basis.
There, now you have superpowers here.
But if you're going to start screwing things up, they're going to start collecting things, and that's
okay. Well, was it your impression that really was a demonstration of a sense of humor, or do you just think they wanted to test your heart?
I'd say it was a sense of humor and their sense of humor too. We have social breaks too, like because I asked them, you know, why do you have to abduct me? Come over and say we're here, or hi, hello. When you want to join us or something, and that's all they had to say.
Stupid pigeons taking up my bones.
Down on the bed safely. And then, you know, this was a 3 or 4 month campaign that was going on, and I was some neat stuff that started taking place.
I think my skinning's mixed. Let me double check.
It was a week or so later, and I'm driving along in my. I had a little Toyota pickup at the time, and I had a couple of dogs that were my best friends. Man, one I kept one lived for 21 years.
Oh look, you have a blue name.
Breathe when I think about them from time to time, but you know how that is with animals.
Yes, I do.
And so anyway, they were in the bed of the truck, and you know I was going down the highway, and now. I see what I thought, and here again, this is the science that they do, because they do these things under our noses completely. I don't care how good our technology is, all those expensive detecting systems that we have, they can come in and out of our skies, and there's nothing we can see. And it's something I think I learned that they transmit things so the mind or the brain and the machines can't pick things up, even the mind. And here's a perfect example. I'm driving down the highway.
Can you see that your name is Blue?
And the technology is so wondrous.
I thought your computer was dead.
In front of me, which it didn't make any sense at all, about maybe far less than a quarter of a mile. They have diamond-shaped ships. I call them diamond-shaped. It's like a pyramid on the top and a pyramid on the bottom. And I see one of these things, and where the bottom of it is, the top of it is going through the road and through the across the road onto the other side into a field.
I don't know if these actually count as
so I know it's not
LOS.
paving a big crater into the road because everybody would know, but that's the way it came across. And I took my foot off the accelerator, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then I saw it go into the sky, and then it was in front of me in my car. So I pushed down hard on the accelerator and tried to follow it. And the faster I went, the faster it kept going back. And the more
this is what Killeen is right there. Right there.
It only wanted me to get so close.
4-stack jackpot.
And this is where I got the term the keepers. The keepers. The keepers. And
keep all that pet food coming.
As it was hanging in the sky, I could see they transmitted these thoughts and pictures in my mind, and clearly it was there to see. The ship, it was in all its glory, and it was phenomenal. And what I could see,
I'm gonna let you attack me because I don't want you doing extra damage to the cat.
And I could see the plant life they were collecting. I could see the seedlings. I could see the trees.
I'm not saying me and the cat are friends, but nah, fam.
And the message was the keepers are here, and they refer to it as their people for whatever reason. The keepers are here to take their people home to a better place,
not happening.
Not a different world. I expect them to say world. So that's where I got the name Keepers, And
I made you a moderator.
They referred themselves to, so now I got a name finally because I'm saying, who are you, where are you from, what are you doing, why are you here? They wouldn't tell me for all these years.
Well, I was wondering,
here I am now,
can that run anything on Steam currently? Because, like, HOTS is not heavy.
Oh, by the way, we're the Keepers. That's what they refer to themselves as.
All right, a real quick question, and that is, you said they were collecting plants and samples of this and that. Did they collect any living samples? I mean, we've had so many reports of cattle mutilations, that kind of thing. Were they doing any of that?
In that particular, what I got to see, and only what I got to see, I
also personally don't believe cattle mutilations are committed by aliens.
Biological, I mean plant life. Primarily biotics, plant life.
All right, I don't want to lead you into saying anything. Your story is what it is, and so
fine. I mean, these are beings that go to great lengths to erase their presence. But they leave a mutilated cattle corpse?
How come other people
just
see what I'm seeing?
Sitting there?
I'm the only one that gets to see this.
Well, based on what you've told me so far, this is me again, but based on what you've told me so far, Jim, it sounds to me as though they needed assistance from a human. And they went to the trouble to train you, but that is not what they were trying to do with others. Or if it is, you haven't talked about it yet. In other words, did you ever meet any others like yourself who were obviously supposed to be assistants?
Well, you know what? That's the person who doesn't want to come forward, and a lot of people that want to come forward. Was another event, though, I should say, that took my breath away, because in that mass abduction where there was over 1,000 people, there was a person that I assisted more than any of them there. And, you can see their faces. And,
I know.
And anyway, I was closest to this guy because he was afraid. And I was constantly calming him in the earlier stages.
You know what I'm going to do? Put this finger up, and then I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to count from when I see my finger come down. So I'll know exactly how long that delay is.
He was afraid more than anybody, but he was
Alright, I haven't even put it up yet. Like, it hasn't happened yet.
I communicated with him.
Which is crazy. Alright, here we go. Here we go.
And I forgot about him. I forgot all about these people. It's nothing, just, hey, if I see one. And later on, I was... I had attended a conference where this is before I came out as a lecturer and a speaker and so forth. And I was at a conference, and I was standing outside by myself to stretch my legs. And here comes this person with one of those huge cameras on his shoulder, like a media person.
Right.
And he's walking by, and...
So it is. It's like a minute long.
That guy.
Okay, so finally it was somebody. Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. And then to watch him walk by, he stops, and the camera's rocking back and forth. And I'm gonna, the camera rocks back and forth as he picks a stop, because obviously he sees me, and it occurs to him, I must know this person, and he turns around and walks up to me, and he says, do I know you? And guess what I said?
All right, let's ask Google some important questions.
Really? You said no. No.
Hey, Google.
I cannot imagine why.
What's the temperature?
No.
I didn't want to lead it to anything.
Still 90.
That can me saying that I let him, removed him in a way to say that was me. I wanted to see what he was going to say. You see what I mean?
Hey, don't I know you? Didn't you abduct me once?
I saw you on board. I comforted you.
Didn't you,
right.
Didn't you have some aliens steal me that one time?
And so, that's when it got interesting.
Wasn't me.
He looks at me and says, I know you, but I just can't place where it
Yes.
is. And I'm biting my tongue because I know this
We
guy.
actually had this conversation.
Again, he doesn't want to come forward. So, I can tell you some things about him, but if you pick on me to get the information, I won't do it because I have to respect what people want. And this is a person I had to do that. But, he is a media person, but he isn't a famous media person, but he works around the media, and that's why he was there. And you can put it all together in your mind. But what more could be more perfect than somebody like that?
Max level in this game is 60,
message, right?
and it is how it originally was released.
Make a long story short, we decided to exchange
there are
phone
some,
and then I worked.
Can I ask
like
one
it uses the
quick question?
current World of Warcraft 3D engine,
Morgan, was it?
and it's a skin over that. And so it's a little more smooth than it used to be.
All right, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
So anyway,
It's a lot more smooth than it used to be honest.
I let him come forward with it, and his memory started coming back, and I think they just did that for me. So now I've got a person that I can say saw things with me, and he did go into detail. And again, he doesn't want to be out in the public, but the detail he gave me was the same thing. So now I got someone like that, and then it led to another thing where this one was interesting too. So you can see where I'm going, basically. That there's
it's $16 a month to play.
I'm feeling better about this. It's leading to other things that have deeper meanings.
Okay, well, I can certainly see that a media person,
I mean, to be honest,
probably wouldn't come forward, Jim, because that would be a career-ending move, almost certainly.
It's worth.
But, oh God, I'd like to talk to him.
It's probably worth twice that, to be honest.
Well,
it's so good.
I have to honor his wishes, and so I have to.
It's hard. That's the draw for
I
me.
keep my word.
It's as difficult as it used to be, and being driven and focused pays off.
For another demonstration of even more powerful and more well. Anyway, there's another example I'd like to tell you that then led to this. Led to something, but now I was walking down the beach, and people are they're funny about seeing things, and they're afraid anyway. I was walking down the beach, and I could hear a person
43, 44.
Yahoo!
44. Kind of want to do that, ZF. No, I don't.
Near the surf, it was a calm surf over there on the beach, and then there was a girl standing there too, and he's jumping up and down, Yahoo, Yahoo! And I'm looking at him, and then this telepathic voice says, "Look." And I looked over, and my head automatically turned where they wanted me to look, which was about 70, 80 degrees into the sky over the ocean, and there was this streak of a light that was a bright, bright light with a hue of blue that had no beginning and no end. Now, do you see light beams like that every day? No. Okay. So here's what looked like a light beam, and it was very, very high in the sky. And this guy falling up and
technically,
down because he knew it
yes,
was something special,
because
and getting
sunlight.
Excited. And then
I'm not actually seeing the beginning of the sunlight.
I knew that they were going to make some kind of appearance somehow with witnesses, again, to make me feel better. I somehow knew that in my mind. I had to project it in my mind. There was a girl, and her back was facing me, and she was standing at the shoreline, too. So if you can imagine, it's two people kind of waiting on the beach, right, and I'm walking up, and I see her, and I go running up to this woman, and it's a young woman, and I go running up to her, and I go, "You're about to see something spectacular." She goes, "Yeah, I know, the sunsets here are beautiful." And I caught myself. You know, I couldn't say that. And just as she said that, a craft appears out of the end of this, and the end of, here's something that's going to tell you how gentle, I don't mean to sound mushy, but anyway, this craft appears out the end of it, but it's not taking form yet. It looks like a sphere of light, and it's sparkling, and it's vibrating in and out, or reverberating in and out, and it's not taking form. And then it finally takes form way up until, again, one of those pyramid-shaped crafts.
It is pay to play, but I don't want to be confused with pay to win, because that's exactly what they removed, was all of the go ahead and pay us perks are not in this version.
And so we're both, I'm standing next to her, and we're both looking at it, and she says to me, "Is that a UFO?"
Well, you know something, Jim? I have a pyramid from the ground.
It's kind of nice, because everything you have, you earn.
I want to tell you, and I've got a whole bunch of messages here, and this is one of them. Somebody calling themselves Lone Listener. The planet is dying. Same thing they told me, Art. So, in other words, a number of people are reporting that they have been told this, basically the same exact thing, Jim.
And well, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all, because, and again, it's a message you're giving people. Actually, I'm learning over the years that it's a deeper message, because I think things may coalesce one day where they may have better memories of what took place, and I think that these people may decide to do something about it. They may be picked for that reason. I mean, it may not be random.
See, like, so, I get a 4-drop. I get a 4-drop list from that vulture, but then I don't get to skin it. So,
thank you.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, well, even with this event, I know. I've been asked in the past,
skinning is how. I mean, people are so shocked, and I'm like, skinning's pretty much how I pay for everything. Like, oh no, I'll vendor it. I don't have to put on the action house. That thick leather is almost a gold a stack. You know how hard it is to make a gold? Well, it's hard, and that's how many golds I have. And I gotta buy ammo,
she looks at me and she
gear.
She's mesmerized by it. She goes, "It's going to come back." And I said, and I knew too. I said, "Yeah, it's going to come back." I'm buying
all my skills. I'm not cherry picking, which is, something that you should do.
And it was rather quite big.
Like, if I wasn't running the hunter, I'd need a mount.
And there were no other people to see this.
So I don't need a mount because I'm running a hunter.
There's not more people.
Well, I don't need the first mount. I'm gonna need the second mount, not the first one. I don't need.
And he's going ape over it. He's yelling and screaming, but she's looking at it and I'm looking at it. And then she puts her left hand out there, and with her fingers she starts waving it in, and she softly goes, "Come on, come on, come on." And this thing started moving in closer. And
this girl sounds high.
And I'm watching this, and to myself, I'm going, "Okay, you can go away now. You can go away now. I mean, thank you for the demonstration." And then it disappears. So it either moves fast or not. So yeah, it blinks right out of the sky. But it made me feel better. It made me feel better,
All right, hold tight. Hold tight. We're going to take a break, Jim. Jim Sparks is my guest, all the way from Australia. Opposite side of the dimming globe.
Oh, you know what?
This is dark matter.
I need to save those and get zesty clam meat and Alterac Swiss, because this is my. I'm pretty sure this is my cooking quest. That gives me 300 cooking.
The Prime Directive disallows dark matter contact with emerging AM world life forms. However, as an extraterrestrial client, you are cleared to call 855-REAL-UFO. That's 855-732-5836.
Emerging AM life forms? Hi, everybody. My guest is Jim Sparks. He's calling from Australia. So if you notice that the line sounds a little less than usual, why, that would be the reason. All the way across the world. And unfortunately, we have no Skype connection. So back now to Jim, and Jim, you said at one point you discerned that there was a meaning even deeper than the state of our world, that our world in effect was dying. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. Because it just gets better and better and better, and for me, and then all these things were coming, that I wanted, and to make the relationship better. And so now I have another scenario that took place, really right on the heels of what I discussed. And this one particular pull, an abduction, just led to that. And I was at home, the usual. This time I wasn't in bed or anything. I happened to be sitting up. I was awake, and then all the sounds and the whistles that go with what we,
I like that.
No.
And anyway, they do, even though they're strong. It's a perfect picture view. I didn't understand what this was going to happen or what was going to go on next, as you can well imagine. But this was a mass abduction, and this was the beginning of a mass abduction. And the only, I never, really go deep into that because I don't really see that. But what I do see, per se, is that they're concerned for the environment is one. So, but anyway, back to that. This craft appears out of the end of it and disappears. But this girl, unbeknownst to me, had some kind of connection with these things, right on the heels of what I discussed. And this one particular pull,
there we go, we're back.
Just led to that. And I was at home.
I accidentally hit the number keys while I was on
this
the
time I wasn't in bed or anything. I
broadcast window, and it skipped
up, I was awake,
right to the very beginning.
The sounds and the whistles that go with what we call a pull, the hard way, so to speak, started taking place. And I found myself, which was really different about it, because normally, as you heard me say earlier, when they pull me, it gets to the point where I black out and then I appear. So I know it's happening, I black out, and so at point A I black out, and point B I regain my consciousness. But in this case, particular case, they allowed me to see where the meeting place was going to be, which wasn't on board. And so when I regained consciousness, I was pretty high in the sky, and it was at night, and yet there was enough light for me to see. And below me was what I could see was, it looked like an abandoned carnival yard.
Below
where it
me.
wasn't well maintained. And I could see a semicircle of rather large alien beings that I had never seen before, because they were huge. Even from way up there, I could see they were bigger than the little grays I was talking about. And this was completely different. So now I get to see it. And as I was getting closer towards them, then I black out.
Technically, let's be fair, you're in a spaceship.
There were probably about 10 of them.
There's a lot of things below you.
Area. You can see their framework. You can see they were probably 7-8 feet tall, unlike anything I ever saw.
I wish these things would stop. Check out
my
my heinous bones.
Looking at first.
My heinous
bones. All
bones.
the years that I've been through this, I learned just don't be afraid, because you always come back fine. And they were in the semicircle, and then the one closest to me, which I was standing outside the edge of it, they put a hologram in front of his face to make it look like a person, even though you could see the bodies were huge. And and it was kind of funny in a way, because when he was communicating, or it was communicating, the other 8 or 9 or whatever number it was that were looking at him, you could tell as if they were a group telepathic message coming from one being, as if they were looking at one, and then the one was talking, and you could see the mouth moving with a human face. And the first words were, "We would have just given it to you, but you wouldn't have understood it that way." And I knew that meant that I didn't get to have the knowledge that I know that I talk to people about. This isn't my work. I'm a business person, but I spend a lot of time doing this, and I'm in different places in the world. I'm in different places in the United States, and I spend a lot of time on this, to get out.
We would have just given this to you, but you wouldn't have understood.
And, they basically, I'm going to give you pieces of it that are important because it went on. This thing went on for over an hour, word for word. It got into my personal life. It was advising me on where to go with this, but the main thrust of it is that they claimed that. And I think that explains a lot. About 60, 70 years ago when we the first nukes came out.
Right.
As you probably know, that was an era where there were a lot of down crafts. We were finding alien cadavers. There's hearsay that we captured live aliens and all of this stuff going on. Which, considering everything over the years, what I surmised that to be was that when we were exploding nuclear bombs, they were coming in from every direction, and I have a little antidote. They were coming in so fast and so many that they were crashing into each other from time to time.
Well, we certainly do know that all of this began when we did drop the bomb. When we were testing the bomb, when we dropped the bomb, there was an immense number of UFO sightings, and as you pointed out, crashes. There were crashes. So maybe you're right. Maybe they got in each other's way.
Well, according to them, this is what took place, and I surmise it to be that period. They actually came down and did the right thing. They followed the proper protocol. They went to the government leaders of the world.
2 concurrent viewers.
Said,
I'm a rock
this
star.
Is what we think you should do, and this is why. And because they're evolved. And they gave them messages that they would like to see the human species evolve.
By the way, if it's me and you,
to clean up our old backyard,
it counts
so to
me.
speak, so we can join the galactic neighborhood. So that's the positive aspect. That's what I mean about this. So we can be part of what this cosmos, this galaxy, this universe has to offer, because there's action going on all the time out there, and we're not a part of it. And so they said what they did was when they came to these people that they exchanged. We said we weren't ready. That according to them, this is what I was advised, that our people aren't ready for this and that we would need time. And so agreements were made. And according to them, there's not one single agreement that we ever kept. When I say we, I mean the people at the time in charge up to this day. They said that they wanted to stop nuclear, and I don't know why they were so specific, and biological weapons. They didn't want to see that anymore. And we were in the forefront. So I'm talking about America. I'm talking about USA. We've seen. I can't. In my time, I've seen different people from different parts of the world, and either Hispanic, and I've seen Asian, and I've seen in all these abductions. So, but we were the people on top of that at the day, and in exchange, they gave technologies to better this planet. They were used. They could be used to clear the skies, take the toxins out of the water, just advanced stuff.
To whom was this technology given?
Well, they didn't say names, and they didn't point fingers, and they didn't say specific names. But it graduated to be what we would consider the darkest of the black op today. So those are the ones. In my experience, you've got 3 forms of government, and this is how I see it. This is how Jim sees it. We've got the government at face value, the one that we deal with every day. The general public does.
Excuse me, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said, this is how I see it, and this is how Jim sees it. Who's Jim?
Jim is me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought you were referring to somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, the other Jim, yeah. No, it's me. So
The shadow
Jim sees it. All these years, and
The me that's standing behind me right now. I got my back.
We deal with every day at face value. And that's the normal government that people deal with. And I would say that 99% of them are clueless to this. You may have 1% that knows something, but most of them don't know. And then you got what I call your second form of government, which isn't quite at the black op level. These are the ones that collect the relics, collect the down crafts, back engineer things, and from the crashes and so forth. They may even have cadavers. Who knows if they even have an alien? And they think they're on top of this phenomena, and they think that they're the top secret of the top secret. But as it goes on, you have this other group, which is the blackest op of the blackest of the blackest, and they are the ones that know everything. They're the ones who have hands-on, and those are the ones that are still communicating with extraterrestrials. In my particular case, the ones that I'm talking about. And, so there's an interaction going, and there's anyway, here's the message as it went, that when they came to people, as I said, these things later on formed. They came to the leaders, and they exchanged the technology for us to do these things, and we didn't do a single thing. And unfortunately, these were their words. That it just makes you somber, but that people have been discredited, maimed,
hey Google,
and killed.
What's the temperature?
In order to keep this secret. And then they were clear to say, our hands had nothing to do with this. And they turned around to say that when they gave the technologies, what we did with it, instead of
for real
taking the technologies and removing the bombs and removing the weapons and everything, is that we made more weapons and we made money.
Well, all right, I have a comment here, Jim.
So,
if
wait.
they had studied us halfway
Okay. The aliens are concerned about our financial gain? This is where the alien was. He was like, listen, I gave you this technology, and we're supposed to be cool, but then I heard you opened up a shop. Really? How about ruining the planet? How about you didn't do anything to stave off this natural degradation of your planet that is unnatural in every way? You have severely enhanced it with your coal and oil fuels, and just there's all these things building up in your atmosphere that can't escape. Okay, I'd be like, yeah, no, you got me. But they're like, you didn't do what we agreed to, and you made money on it. Like, for real? Like the aliens came down and wanted to check our wallet? Anyways, let's go back to it.
Poorly, they would know that giving this technology, this important earth-shattering technology, to the Black Ops people would be the poorest decision they could possibly make.
I can understand that thinking in today's view.
Also, let's just talk about that for a second. They showed him what he believes to be the future. And at the time they handed this over, this technology, right? This technology that they were going to use to have us save ourselves. And they thought, well, we'll give it to these guys that are going to, turn super evil and closeted and not tell anyone anything and not use this for good. Or, oh man, I guess we should have looked into the future before we gave that to those guys. What? Is that what it... Oh, all right, let's go back.
Because back then there wasn't a black op. They were actually coming to leaders of the world, and however that these other things were formed. Now, that's totally understandable, and what you just said, but then again, you're dealing with people who have no clue about these things. Here we are in the 40s, and, that kind of stuff isn't going on, so they're only going to the heads of whoever the movers and the shakers are and the leaders of that day who are clueless.
Okay, let me clear up my previous statement now. They may have a limited view of future events. In the 1940s, there were no Black Ops. The Black Ops, I don't really think, became a thing until the 60s. So let's say they have a limited view, say, of 10 years, right? Okay, all right, I get it. And that's me speculating. They did not say that. Let's go back.
Clueless to this stuff.
Yeah, and we're dealing with people that can read minds.
Yeah, well, I think what it is over the years, Art, is they want us to meet them halfway, and I think the way they are and as advanced as their cultures are, that I've figured out, and I mean it's clear to me that they just can't come at face value and it working. I think it's part of a program to get us to realize what we're doing and bring us there. Just like, these experiences have been with myself, and even they started saying we would have just given you this information, but you wouldn't have understood it that way, so I had to go through something. And I think in the bigger picture, they have us to go through things. And it's a positive thing, even though a lot of negative things take place for positive things, because human beings, we're not, we mess up. And
okay, but I mean, really, we were told, Jim, to be
wary as human beings,
military
we mess up,
complex, right? And that's who they gave it to.
They gave it to, I don't know if it was particularly military at the time, but it has become something like that to this day, and we all know that. And they're saying that people were hurt for this reason. Now, here's what they expressed, and then you can, you can use this how you see fit, because I come across, I'm not a journalist, but I come with a journalist perspective in a sense that I can only tell you what I see. I'm not a scientist, but I do take a logical science point of view, and I like to see this stuff as technology and science, so I don't get caught up in, it may be demons, this, that, and all this other stuff that comes out because it's proven itself to be not.
Yeah, you can only say what you know.
Yeah. And so, with that being said, the technology was used for these reasons. Now, what they're claiming is that there's over the years, that there's a majority, there's a growing number in these groups that would like to come out with this information, that hoard this information. And, but it's a simple thing. And according to them, they're afraid. And they're afraid because crimes against humanity have been committed. And if you come out and say, okay, we have these things, and we'd like to come forward with some of them, and the things that they did to keep it secret, they're obviously going to go to jail, and who knows, they may be prosecuted, and they could even possibly be executed for the crimes against humanity. They're afraid. And so they advised a simple word, which is called amnesty. Amnesty. And
in what context?
Well, it's not for spiritual purposes, but for practical purposes, create an avenue for these people to come forward and not be prosecuted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
The people that were given the information.
Yeah, and to this day, what we're doing to keep it secret. And it's tied to a lot of things, and all these things have to be figured out. So, in my sense of it, that to me, amnesty is obviously a law that needs to come into effect. And it's a law that's, a high law, a high law in our government, that if whoever comes forward with it can't be, they can't be
all
charged.
I can say is you better get the Australian government interested in this whole thing and offer amnesty, because we can't even agree on a budget back here.
Well, anyway, I like to see us be in the forefront, which is America, because I'm an American.
That would explain that noise.
I guess I'm a little undecided about that. I can't help myself. I'm not, you know what I mean. But, and so, that's what they put out for that to happen in order for these things to come out. And so now, we've got different campaigns going on, which makes things very difficult for this. And I think, we all want to see disclosure, and disclosure is something where they can come forward. But I think you can work hand in hand with the disclosure movement, with the amnesty movement, because disclosure is saying we want the answers, but in a sense, I don't think they're going to say everything. And I think amnesty would, create that. And,
sure.
And that's the meaning behind it. So that's the message I give, as I go all over the place, for the amnesty.
All right, well that makes sense. But again, I'm very concerned. We're in a country right now that's basically, the only word I can think of is dysfunctional. Maybe that will change, Jim, but I'm less hopeful every day.
Well, I understand it. It's a mess. It's a mess. Nobody can argue that. Definitely.
Did they tell you anything else that would be useful? Like, for example, our planet's dying. Are there timelines? Is there anything else we can know about how long we might have?
Well, they don't give dates. They don't say times to me. They haven't at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did and they wanted me to tell people, I would. But I don't know of anything like that. But I can tell you that they give hints and tips of things to come, which are neat. I think that if we get the information out, like they wanted us to do 60, 70 years ago, that this world would be beyond our imagination and would solve a lot of problems. And so I mean, there's been. It's just, it would solve a lot of problems. Anyway, so some of the tidbits, that have taken place that are kind of neat is, as time has gone on, and over the years, my interaction with these beings are completely different. And now I've learned that there are campaigns which things are taking place right out, from under our noses, so to speak. And I get involved sometimes with them. And one of which is one of my favorite ones, is that they actually, there are human beings who are raised somewhere else. They're not.
All right. Here's a question for you that was bound to come, Jim, and people reflect back on the box that you talked about, and they ask, do you have any physical proof of all that happened to you or anything that happened to you? Was there any physical anything?
They don't let me take anything back with me.
Didn't think they would.
So, yeah, and that's the way I have to go forward with it. And so, no, they don't.
Okay. All right, hold on, Jim. What I want to do here is I want to open the phone lines. This is not going to be easy. I want the audience to be able to ask questions, but because of the nature of the connection that we've got to Australia, it's not going to be easy. So I'm going to take a little bit of an early break here. And, boy, that's a weird noise, isn't it? So if you want to call, the lines are now open. We're going to open them all and begin to take questions for Jim Sparks. I'm Art Bell.
Alright guys, so personally, I'm going to be taking a break when this number gets to... We're at 52 right now.
I sort of want to lay this out for you.
It'll be 55, 400 or more.
You're going to have to, Jim, you're going to have to be quiet while I take the question. And then, caller, you're going to have to get the question out right at the beginning. Just sort of issue the question, and then I'll leave the line, and Jim will answer the question. It'll have to be sort of a cooperative venture here if we want it to work well because of the nature of the phone connection. I'm sure you can all hear that. So here we go. Let's take a call right up front and say hello. You're on the air with Jim Sparks. Hello. Let's see. That would be in Mississippi. Patrick. Patrick, are you there?
Patrick,
going twice.
Put his phone down to listen to the show.
All right, let's go
Happens
to
to Art a lot.
Canada and John. Are you there, John? Looks like not. Hello, John. Are you there? John in Canada. John in Canada. No. Okay, maybe we've got something going on here. Let me try one more. Let's go to Arizona and Beverly. Beverly, you're on the air with Jim Sparks. Maybe. You're not
All right. Art Bell's calls are broken.
Okay, folks. Well, something's going on with our connection here, obviously, and I'm not sure what's going on. Let's try again. Arizona, Beverly, are you there? Okay. Let's check the connection here. Love this. I love it. Okay, let's go to here and try it again. Arizona, Beverly, are you there? No, you're not, but I'm going to keep trying. Sorry about this, folks. It happens. Let's go to Illinois and say, Gary, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, Gary.
Yes.
Good. What kind? Hopefully you have a question for Jim Sparks.
Yeah, do you know the book, I believe it's...
No, I was just dialing random numbers. Sorry, Art.
Oh, yes. Cooper, yes.
Yeah, a lot of that coincides with what he, said in the book, which I got on DVD and listened to it. I'm a truck driver, of course. And about the aliens coming in back in, Eisenhower or whatever, and coming in and, we've been interacting with him ever since then, and it's been all hush-hush. But a lot of that kind of coincides with what he's been talking about tonight. So I'm just, wow.
It sure does, Gary. All right, let's put it to him. Jim, he's right. There have been many that have carried similar messages, right?
And, actually, judging from what I've seen, there's no doubt. I mean, as far as I know, I'm one of the few, and I don't want to say the only one because I don't have a big ego. I don't have an ego here whatsoever. But as far as I know, I'm probably one of the few human beings on the planet that I can see these beings face to face, and they communicate with me. And as I was mentioning earlier, that hey, this has been going on over 20 years, and it took years for me to be able to understand their nature. I mean, the simple things about them is they don't like questions. They only want to tell you things when they want you to know it. And it's not that they're the Gestapo, so to speak, but I'm constantly really very careful when I think about a question I might have, so I know that I can come up with something positive.
She's out for homecoming dance
it
tonight.
doesn't surprise me that other people have experience in this. So
we live in a small town. Homecoming's a big deal.
All right. Let's go to Daniel in Indiana. You're on with Jim Sparks. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Art?
Just fine, sir. Go ahead.
I was wondering, are the aliens or the Greys, for say, unisex?
Actually, that's a pretty good question. How about it, Jim? Are they unisex or what?
I've never seen any genitalia. And that's one thing I can say. But meaning that I have seen them, one has to wonder if they're wearing something skin tight, which I don't think it is. I think they go around with no clothes. And the Greys just don't have clothes on, the ones that I've seen, and I have never seen genitalia. But for the moment, now this is something that's taken many years, that I've always felt like I was dealing with the male of the species. All this time, and there was one particular event, and one particular event only, where I saw a Grey that definitely had feminine features, meaning that it was thinner, it telepathically came across softer, it touched me in a gentle way, and I thought it was a she. So how they reproduce, I have no idea. And so,
but nothing obvious.
Nothing.
Okay, here we go again to Los Angeles and Mark. Hi.
Hello, Jim. This is very interesting content you've been putting out here tonight, and it rings true for me. So if it is true, it strikes me that disclosure is a huge thing, and it would clean up. It would, if we could get the technologies to clean up the planet and get affordable energy, this is huge, right? So why not start negotiating with these guys and bring in more people and just bypass the leadership of the planet because they're belligerent, right? Get people to go with you. I'd go. I would go. Could you do this? Could you work on different ways to communicate with these guys and perhaps start introducing a mass of people down here to them?
Jim?
Well, I like that question, and
I should be at half, but I'm not.
Still beyond a lot of my comprehension, but yet there's a connection there that signals to me why they're doing it the way they're doing it, and which is they would like to see us meet them in the middle, so to speak. So it's not that just to take over the planet, so to speak. So they want to meet us in the middle. And part of that meeting in the middle is they want to see us move forward. I think, and as you said, it's a fantastic thing.
Okay.
With disclosure, we can get the disclosure, we can get the amnesty, full amnesty, where they can come forward. I think, that would break ground beyond anything, because now
so it's 56,400.
Here's how I see
what I
it.
got
You've got
wrong.
people who are hands-on. They know as much as this technology as the aliens have given them, and they're keeping this stuff, they're hoarding this stuff, they're keeping it to themselves. So if you can imagine, how it would bypass all the red tape and all the bureaucracy and all the other things that go on with government control, so to speak. Even though it would be law, I think amnesty should be a law in effect to protect them. Then they're going to say, hey, we've got this apparatus and we've got this one, and this one can do this, and we can travel from point A to point B. We can transverse the universe.
Okay.
No time passing. And
Let's check in with Google again.
Not all the things that can come out.
We're aiming for 85 or lower. Hey Google, what's the temperature?
Sure that there is.
All right, listen, your story is absolutely incredible.
Still 89.
It's detailed, and if you're making it up, it's just beyond me how you would make this up, period. But I've got a question for you. It's not a rude question, Jim, just a question. Would you take a lie detector test?
Well, no one's ever asked me that. I have nothing to hide there, so I don't think that a lie detector test would say that I was lying or not telling the truth, to answer your question.
That doesn't answer my question.
Didn't answer the question.
In other words, look, what you're saying is so important to the world, so important to people.
Would you take a lie detector test?
People
The
are
answer
sitting
is
out
yes
there digesting what you're
or
saying
no.
tonight and probably saying, it sounds good, it sounds right. But if you came back with the results of a lie detector test and it said you were being truthful, boy, oh boy, would that, add a gigantic weight to your story.
Well, I wouldn't object to it. And, this is how I always come out with this. I know that what I have to say, there's going to be a tremendous amount of people, and this is what I've learned over the years.
Right.
You're going to have people that are going to throw, eggs and tomatoes at you.
Oh, yes.
Say this is phooey. And
well,
actually,
you know the story, right, about incredible claims and all that? Requiring
sure.
Incredible, yeah.
Well, I respect a lot of that because it wasn't too long ago, well, it's been a long time now, that I would have been the same way until it happens to you. And so, but what has surprised me over the years is that it's kind of a popular thing to have me when I speak, because I'm finding out that people aren't as critical as I thought they would be, and they're not coming out that hard. So, almost all the time, I'm going to get,
No, Jim, it's a good message. It's an important message, and as I said, it would add a lot of weight to what you're saying. Tony, in Utah, you're on with Jim Sparks. Hello.
Hello, how you guys doing tonight?
Really well.
Good. I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and I've got a couple questions. One for Jim. When was the last time that you went up? That they visited you.
Okay, we're not going to be able to do this multiple question stuff, but let's have them at. When was the last time that you were pulled?
Well, the interaction has been going on up to the last few months. So it's a regular thing. It's not the same.
All right,
anymore.
kids. If you find this later,
look, I don't want to sound like I'm plugging the
you're
book.
interested in more of these paranormal commentaries. I actually enjoyed this pretty much. So I would love to do another one, and just have you guys discuss it with me. It is almost 7 o'clock here. I have been streaming for 2 hours 38 minutes, which is a little more than than this is here. So I'm going to end my broadcast right now. Let me ask, if you find this, you follow it, like, subscribe, comment, do all of the YouTubes of things. I am Cigarbeard. You are you. Thank you for that. And I will, I'll probably see you later. Alright, guys. Take it easy.